it. Recording in progress. The cloud tells me. There we go, guys. If you can see, I'm kind of in my underground bunker right now. I've got my elites sitting around us. We're going to decide: are we opening the straight today, or the stock market's going to explode, or what are we going to do today? We're ruling the world down here. We're taking all the water for data centers and all the fun shit. We're losing our freedoms. And anyways, I'm just ranting and raving because I've been pissing off boomers all day on Facebook. But anywho, returning guest to the show, and we always have technical difficulties somehow when we do this. Tony Arterburn from Wise Wolf Gold and Silver and ParaTruther podcast. Welcome back, brother.
Well, it's great to be back. Yeah, I'm glad that you spend some time and devote some energy to pissing off boomers. They deserve it. I mean, look at the current state of affairs in the world and all the boomer politicians who hung on like crypt keepers to power, like not having any sort of like transition in their life where they did something else besides rule over us. And yeah, we're smack dab in the middle of what dystopia meets like it's almost like the when you watch like RoboCop or one of
Yep.
those like 80s dystopian films where like the game shows are just terrifying. It's
Yeah,
like
dude.
where
Running
it's
Man.
like Running Man. Yes, Running Man. The what was it? Was it RoboCop where the guy's like climbing for dollars or something, and there's
I'd
like
buy that for
dogs.
$1.
Yeah, I'd buy
Yep.
that for $1. It feels like very much like, and it's funny because it's a reveal too, which can give you some peace. I think like obviously the life that we're living in this world that we live in and this reality is not an accident. It's not like random molecules coalescing together to make life and consciousness. Like we are inside of something very special. I think there's a lot of choices to be made, but you can clearly see with whatever all the reveal that's going on, isn't it interesting? Like you don't even see atheist movements anymore because people are like, oh yeah, it's too weird. Like I agree now. Like it's not, there is no standard agreed upon reality. It's just it's stupid meets terrifying, at the
That's a
same
great
time.
point, dude, because now everybody is noticing, even normies, that just post COVID or whatever, post 9/11, but definitely post COVID. Now normies started being like, hey, man, you heard about this thing that they would have never brought up 5 years ago, and vice versa. So, yeah, it's like maybe people are realizing, like, okay, well, what if God, I believe in God, I'm a fan of Jesus and all that, but I'm just saying, like, there's people that are going, well, maybe some of these deities and stuff that these people worship hypothetically might not be real, but the people worshiping them think they are real. So we should kind of take that into consideration.
Yeah, and what's that experiment that they did? Was it some decades ago? Was like the Philip experiment where they got people in a room and they conjured like up a person because of like the power of their belief, like their subconscious. Have you ever seen this experiment that they did? Like they
No, that's
people
crazy.
conjured up an entity, and I think it's like Philip or something like that. And that's how the power of belief. So even if like say the old ones or the people that like the Google founders talked about or
Yeah.
whatever weird shit like some Sumerian god that what wasn't it like if you asked AI what Sumerian god it would be, it would say it was Inky.
I
Have you
believe,
seen?
yeah, dude. That's when they started like reprogramming a bunch of those, chatbots because they were like, whoa, and then Grok went all Nazi and everything. But yeah,
Right.
they were giving like real answers, and you're like, whoa, this is kind of terrifying.
It is interesting, right? And like, so the power of belief creates reality, which is another sign that we live in a metaphysical universe with divine origins. Like, we're not just accidents, and it's not all in our mind, but we do have the power to create. And I think because things are so strange, it's almost like chicken or the egg. Are people acting weirder because things are stranger, or are things stranger because people are acting weird?
Yes, perfect. Well,
And
and
that's
then we're just getting everything all at once. So then it's like, like I was saying right before we hit record, it's like even Donald Trump, the guy who told us about fake news, is now spouting fake news himself. And like everything is topsy turvy and inverted. So we don't even know what the hell to believe of anything anymore. We just know that something's off kilter, man. The Buddhists, the Hindus, the Christians, everybody's coming together going like, hey, maybe our differences might not be so bad. Let's see what these other ruling classes are doing to us.
I think that's great. I mean, I think it's good when the people we put on pedestals. I mean, again, some people deserve it throughout history, but we usually kill them. Like if you see if you see
Yeah,
what humanity does to Martin Luther King or Jesus or just a lot of any of the figures throughout history that have said, hey, we don't have to go this way. Something usually bad. JFK, sticking his neck out and talking about peace or being devoted to that.
can't do that.
Human beings are imperfect. There's no, aside from Jesus, but human beings are imperfect, and we make imperfect realities. But there is something I think special about the time that we're in. I'm not so pessimistic either. Like I think a lot of this things, the technology that we have, can be used for good. Um, I find it interesting that humanity gets dumber with all of the instruments at our fingertips for knowledge and research, and like I don't understand that. I'm having a field day with how much I can access right now and how much I can learn. So I don't know why the average IQ is going down. I don't know
Yeah,
what I don't know what's happening. Maybe
that's the
it's
irony is they're tools, but the people aren't really using them right. Like I've always been like a mechanic or a hands-on guy. I'm a maintenance guy and stuff. I fix things, right? So if I'm grabbing a crescent wrench to do something I need a hammer for, or a hammer for a crescent wrench, or vice versa, like it's just not going to work. And then that's what a lot of this is like in the wrong hands and the right retard, basically. You can have catastrophic failure, but at the same time, it's like I do rally against AI and data centers and all this shit, but okay, I make just in the last 2 months, I've been making my thumbnails with AI,
sure.
and I'm like, but I'm whatever. It's this little thing where it's like I'm not using it to make an entire channel like people do on TikTok or other things like that. So it's just a matter of like how much you use the tool. I mean, hey, back in the day, a bump of cocaine, just one on a party night on a Saturday, was all right. You keep doing a bump for the next 3 weeks, like, all right, now you're a little too far into it. You need to back off.
That's a good analogy. Well, I mean, it's kind of like anything like nuclear power. Nuclear power can be very efficient and clean if it's done right, but then you got to figure out what do you do with the waste and how much
Yeah,
waste does it produce and what about a meltdown and all the rest. So it's like new technologies can be amazing. They can also be dangerous. I think AI is a lot like that. It's funny if we could just use it for advancing the organization and efficiency and stuff like that. That'd be great. Or just accessing knowledge. If we had a just society, if we had if collectively we had wisdom and our leaders were just, or at least just adjacent and not just completely corrupt. I mean, we have to build these like the flock camera systems and the AI surveillance data, the surveillance state itself. And that's what is, I think, disgusting about when new technology arrives. And it's probably been around for a long time now. They're just now releasing to the public certain aspects of it. But to use it again, it's like anything else that can be like electricity can be used to light up your home, or you can electrocute someone with it. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
like it's a weapon can be used to harvest your food or to protect your home, or you can use it to go on a killing spree. I think it's just about the tools and then the people that wield them, and we've just reached a point where, and I know that you understand this, like we've reached a point where uh, we're living inside a society where there's almost no outlet for the people to fix it in the current system the way that it is.
Yep.
You just keep getting the same people. Like you mentioned Trump, and I know that he still has that cult following around him, like no matter what, but that seems to be dwindling too. And
Yeah.
thank God, it's
But
spent
time
too long.
permitting as well, it's going to dwindle regardless. I mean, Trump will be, out of office in the next 2 years or 2.5 years,
Maybe
whatever. I mean,
sooner.
well, I mean,
Maybe.
possibly, but I'm just saying, hypothetically, you finish this the whole term. I mean, unless some ratification of the Constitution or something happens, then he's going to be gone eventually. So it's kind of like holding on for too long. Some of these people are, but there's a change coming, and I don't know what it is, whether it's good or bad. But I'm with you.
Well, I just meant like in the Nixonian sense of, Nixon had a 48 state landslide in 1972
Mm-hmm.
and against George McGovern. And McGovern, like you look back in that campaign, McGovern was a good man. He was a World War II veteran, wanted peace, wanted to end the Vietnam War. And we could get into a little bit of Nixon history if you want, but they activated the press and got with Woodward and Bernstein, and nobody ever activated the press again. It's something weird about the 1972 to 74 era and what happened to Nixon, but it seems to be that like Trump's entering some territory with like the strangeness of what the hell is up with Mitch McConnell,
Yeah.
like Lindsey Graham is dead now. Like we've just got this
Friend of the show, as Tim Dillon says.
the ghost, the ghost of Lindsey Graham.
Him and them ladybugs, they listening out there on Spotify.
We just, we just got to kill them all. Like he's just, I talked about that on my show. It's just, what a legacy to leave where you just promoted violence your entire life without any sort of historical sense or what would be the consequences, and then you die. Like what a waste of
That's like watching Rocky 1, and then like right when it comes to the match, he just has like a fucking heart attack. Like right when he walks in the ring, you're like, you finally got it.
yeah, it's something like it's like this just the tragedy of having that much influence and that much power and then wasting it on like Lockheed Martin lobbyists and like military industrial complex and Israeli firsters. Like it just is a sad, sad thing. But I don't know. I mean, politics, for whatever this controllable beast is for the establishment, they're going to use this. I mean, I don't know what you think, but if there is such a thing as polling, I think the Democrats have a massive victory in the fall and towards into November. Then I think the next couple of years of our life are just going to be impeachment hearings. Like
Oh
that's
yeah.
what I think. I mean, so I mean, you're and probably deservingly so. I mean, we just wasted. I mean, twice in a row, like the shockingly establishment that we're going to have some sort of nationalist or America first policy, and then just to waste it, to waste all that political capital, it doesn't make any sense.
That big push. I mean, the thing is like all of these things, in excuse me, a lot of ways were for the good, and then somewhere along the way, some little Rhode Island-sized country and some tiny hats and some blackmail and video evidence and possible little people. I mean, little kids. Yeah, and got corrupted along the way in there, and then we had a whole nother 180 flip, and then we ended up basically seeing like a halfway Obama, halfway Biden, halfway Hillary Clinton type shit at this point, because it's just like, oh, these people are corrupted. Like they have to follow this thing at this point, meaning Trump specifically and others. They're all the same, but I'm just long-winded answer saying that I think that we are realizing that the America First thing is a good idea, but just like all good ideas, they get co-opted. And somewhere
Right.
along the way, some people, it's a sink or swim. You go, dude, I think the boat's about to sink, so I'm jumping off the fucking boat. And then the other people stay on the boat until it's too late and they're at the bottom of the ocean. And that's kind of the true diehard MAGA people that are still holding on at this point. Is like it's okay to admit that you got lied to. You know, criticizing your own guy is what you should be able to do. Like that's kind of the point of constructive criticism. But anyways, I digress. I'm just saying, like, we are in this weird awakening of, like you alluded to earlier, we should be the smartest generation ever because we have everything at our fingertips. Meanwhile, like the Bill Hicks joke about now you have a calculator and you can't do math, and you're like, well, we're the most retarded generation with everything in front of us. Where do we go from here?
It's funny. I own a gym in Southern Missouri, and I was, as a younger age, I was a, national champion, state champion powerlifter. I won some world titles, and I remember back, in the '90s, mid to late '90s, I had to like source books and order video cassettes from magazines. And
Yeah.
like, I would reach out to powerlifters who had achieved stuff. I'm like, tell me how you did this. What's your routine? Like, you had to be a lot more analog, and there was not, I mean, I didn't have this massive database in front of me to like search any sort of thing I wanted to. And I'll go in my gym and these younger kids are out there in just the worst form. And like, and I don't know. I would have asked me, by the way. It's like the guy that owns the gym, you don't even ask him, like, am I doing this right? They don't think to do that. And then they also have all of the videos and the archives and everything that ever happened on their phone, and they still don't know how to lift. I just, what is that? Like, you literally
Right.
can just look at it up and you don't even have to ask or be proactive and socialize at all. So I
Yeah.
just find that it's kind of a microcosm of what's going on now. Like, the average person doesn't understand like why things get more expensive. Did things go up in value, or is something wrong with my currency? Did you even think about that? Is something wrong with it? Or is it something like you just think that's part of life? It's interesting that people don't think a little deeper to like understand where they are. And I think that's the weird part about like
Yes.
the dichotomy of like we have all this stuff and that where people aren't thinking, which and literally podcasts too, like who
Yeah.
would have thought like this is an amazing technology. We have all these conversations going on, and maybe it's because there's so much that people don't tune in, but I don't know. I don't find that to be an excuse. I mean, it seems there's a way that you could curate and find what you're looking for, specialization. So I don't know, man.
Mhm.
It's just a weird time in
It is.
general.
Well, and like
I
AAA
can't
and
get
a lot of
over it.
others, you brought up podcasts. So it's like AAA and a lot of others. I say it all the time too. It's like the best currency nowadays because we know our currency when we're talking about literal financial currency is dog shit. But on your ability to just be honest. That is the currency nowadays, with podcasts specifically. We've been gaslit, dog whistled, and all this horse shit with Fox News, CNN, whatever. It's like, hey, do you want your slop to be racist and secretly gay or gay and secretly racist? It's like, which one do you want? Because it's the same result no matter what. But
It
yeah,
is, isn't it?
people in honest conversations, whether what you and me right now are saying is right or wrong, people like to hear people being honest versus some dipshit reading a script.
Oh, and I know, and those days are over.
Yeah, they're cooked.
The days of the scripted canned. Modern conservatism died a horrible death, and it's now a zombie. I don't know who will finally like Walking Dead come up and like put a knife in it, but somebody will eventually. It's literally a zombie. And
Yeah.
I just thought of this analogy now. But it's been dead for for quite a while. It continues to be alive, but it's just a shadow of a shadow of its former self, and it's so much of that. Because I come from that world. I was,
Mm-hmm.
13, 14 years ago, I did my first radio show out of Dallas, and I bought my time, I bought my show, and sponsored it myself, and I got on one of these major, conservative talk radio stations. I got to meet all the people, and I was on. It is a shadow of itself,
Yeah.
and it gave away its credibility over the years, and now I don't even know what they're going to do. Like you certainly have and like that their demographic is aging. A lot of it's not around anymore. And then people have tuned out. It's so fractured. I think people should really study that. Like what happened to conservative commentators,
Mm-hmm.
because they've so devalued themselves and debased themselves with the pro-war stances they've had, or like the Israeli firsters that have been really exposed. I think it's been a great thing for humanity in general that we kind of just ex- shine a light on all that, and it's so fake. It's a game, and so there
Mm-hmm.
are people that are actually really have true belief systems that are intact, but they're not popular. And like
Yeah.
look at Ben Shapiro.
Yep.
Like,
You just took the little man out of my. You just read my brain. Yeah, go for
well,
it.
if you look at Ben, you know. he reached this apex of of popularity, and he took over for Michael Savage. I don't know if you knew that. Like he
I
took off.
remember Michael Savage. Yeah,
Yeah, and Michael Savage was a great broadcast. I learned a lot from Michael Savage, and I don't agree with all his stuff, but he was a great broadcaster.
he was. He had
And
energy. He was, whether he was right or wrong, he would make you tune in for sure. Yeah,
he make you tune in, and he had a way with words, and he just an interesting guy.
yeah.
And then he's replaced with Ben Shapiro, talks like that, and Mickey Mouse, and like the whole
They
the
put him on
thing.
fast forward. Yeah,
Right to it. Yeah, right. And I guess that's where we were in America, 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And now, like that just crumbling. You look at like what does he run? The Daily Caller or and all that stuff in
Daily
there.
Wire.
Yeah, Daily Wire. Yeah. The Daily Caller. What is that's the one
That's
that
are they
Carlson.
British? They're English, I think, or something like that.
Yeah,
Daily
it's The
Caller.
Wire. You're right. Yeah, it's funny
Yeah,
because I've tuned out so long ago. I don't even
uh,
follow the.
Shapiro's hanging himself with his own wire at this point.
He definitely did, and the credibility's gone. And even things like after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, even things like Turning Point and all those things, like it's just a shadow of itself. That's one of the
Yeah,
casualties of the last 6 years, was all of that. I don't know where they go from now, but um, I think that's true for even CNN and MSNBC and the standard left. I think they have a real problem. Have
I
you
think
been
it's good. The grift is over. What were you gonna say though? Sorry.
have you been following, like it's kind of a soft announcement that Tucker Carlson's been talking about? Like he hasn't done anything, but he's
The no war
t-
party thing
yeah, like
with
doing some sort of
Marjorie and yeah.
yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Man, I was actually watching something about that a little bit earlier. I guess Jimmy Dore put up a new clip this morning and was talking about that. It was Jimmy and Kurt, and they were talking. They showed a clip from Joe Kent being on Pierce recently, and was talking about the kind of idea. And then now, the pictures are circulating and them all together. So it's kind of like I don't know if they really inverted. I don't know if they really wanted to make their own party, but I think there's enough people now that are like, hey, you know what? Like these are the guys that we actually kind of the honesty, like we were talking about earlier, is actually showing through, which is not a normal thing in politics. And so these people are almost like the Ghostbusters that they're going to fucking clean up the Mitch McConnells and Feinsteins and shit that have been, term limits needed to have existed years ago. I don't know. I think they've got a youthful thing to their side, but they're also old enough to be wise, if that kind of makes sense. Like they've got enough skin in the game to know what's going on, but they've also realized, hey, half the organizations we work for, we're crookeder than shit. So what better than asking the ex gang member what the gang leader was like when he turns his life around and shit. So I'm back to honesty is what I'm saying. I think there could be hope for it. I don't know if they're going to run for political office, but if they can just start waking people up, I'm all for it.
It's interesting to me that like if you look at the structure of the Libertarian Party, having run for office and understanding a little bit of the groundwork of how ballot access works.
When did you run again? We talked about that the first time you were on here.
2013, 2014, I ran for
Okay.
Congress in North Texas, and that was an adventure. I learned a lot, things I wasn't quite aware of until you get really close to the mechanism and how it works. And um, I ran against. I didn't think he was running again. It was the oldest World War II veteran in Congress. He used to be a Democrat. He became a Republican, and I'd known him my whole life. And his
Hmm.
name was Ralph Hall. Of course, he was friends with everybody from Buzz Aldrin to Ron Paul. Like the guy
Yeah.
he's just a good old boy, kind of um, old school politician in a sense, like Southern Texas politician, kind of friends with
Yeah.
LBJ. Like he just been around a long time, and like he didn't have a lot of money either. Like he just was able to secure that office over and over again through his actions, like what he
Sure.
did, even when he switched parties. But he got challenged by John Ratcliffe, who is now the head of the CIA.
Yep.
And so, like, I was going out there as a surrogate, you know, debating John Radcliffe. It's
Yeah.
and who's now head of the CIA. It was an interesting. I mean, we didn't know exactly where he was going to end up, but he had all that money from being law partners with John Ashcroft, who wrote the Patriot Act and other things. So I felt like I was on the right side of history as far as just sticking out and saying, I think we need a different kind of election. Um, and so I learned a lot of the primary process. And then I found out, like in Texas, if you vote in the primary or if you run in the primary of either party, let's say you're dissatisfied with the result, you can't go run in the general election as an independent. You're barred from that,
Oh,
which is so unconstitutional to me. Like, how can you not get ballot access? And they made it in Texas to where, let's say you in November of the election year is going to be the election, you have to give a letter to the Secretary of State in December of the previous year to state your intent. And then you cannot vote or be a part of a primary.
what? The
Yeah,
great
so
state of Texas.
in the
Weird.
great state of Texas. So my argument, just kind of full circle, my argument is I'm wondering why people like Carlson and other don't create a coalition and, not to offend my libertarian friends, but why don't we just take that ballot access and like reform the Libertarian Party? Because it already has which is the hardest thing to get. It already has the ballot access. And maybe that
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Well, the thing with the libertarians, I've been saying it, I'm not the first to say it, but, and I'm still a registered libertarian because after, we'll say, last time I voted was 2016. But after that, I was just like, all right, the Operation Warp Speed and all that shit. I was like, I'm not voting for Trump again. I'm not voting for fucking Biden either. I'm not voting for any of these people. I was halfway. I liked Spike Cohen, but I wasn't completely sold on Joe Jorgensen. So I was like, I'm fuck it. I'm going to register as a libertarian from now on, but I'm also just not going to vote. But my point of all that is the libertarians. I saw a great meme the other day of Frank Costanza on Seinfeld at the airing of grievances on Festivus, and it says libertarians above his head. I got a lot of problems with you people, and you're going to hear about it. Everybody at the table, libertarians. Libertarians are libertarians' biggest problem is because nobody, we're like, yeah, we all hate the government. What about my idea of government? No, fuck your idea of government because we hate it's this big pointing match, the Spider-Man meme, but with the idea of like kind of independent running stuff, let me ask your thought because it made me think of Dan Bilzerian going against Randy Fine. And that seems kind of like you probably aren't as an aggressive campaign as Dan Bilzerian is, but you're seeing that like, dude, he's got the establishment behind him. He's got the Israel lobby. He's got the APAC, meaning Randy Fine, right? And then now he's trying to take photos. I don't know if you saw him the other day. He's got like a baseball bat. He's trying to call himself the whatever the bear Jew like on Inglorious Bastards. You were just seeing that, man, even when independent people with their own money and their own shit behind them want to run, you don't even have a chance. So there's my little black pill rant, but you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, the system itself, like, and you can just look at the mathematics of it, like the way that our congressional races are set up. Like, if you run in the general and you win, you're representing 800,000 people in a congressional district, which was never the intent of the founders. It was supposed to be about 35,000 that you represent. So they've inflated that insanely, like to have an
Rest.
800,000, population when it's supposed to be really, really closer to the earth of around 35,000. But let's just put that number in perspective. If you want to get the nomination of a party, you got to convince about 25,000 people. So
Mm,
the way that they do it is, especially things like Thomas Massey,
yep.
when people ask me like, what's going to happen to Thomas Massey? I'm like, oh, he's going to lose. And you can do it with enough money because you can convince enough of those, like, even though they're engaged in primaries, they're just, I've seen this in Texas. Like I said, maybe 50,000 people vote in a congressional primary. So you just got to 26,000 and you're over the hump. So they just got to convince enough or create enough new ballot access to push it over the line with millions and millions of dollars. And, people were wondering, why is Thomas Massey smiling? Why is this like fun to him? And I'm like, because he's a martyr. Like I'd feel the same way. Like you had to spend more than anyone's ever spent to get rid of me, and I didn't do anything wrong. So I
Yeah.
just you defeating me, it's like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, it's like I'll
Yeah.
become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. Like you just revealed everything behind the corruption that exists in real time. So yeah, maybe I lost, but who cares? I mean, you're set for life.
That Wizard of Oz curtain was pulled back. Yeah.
It was truly pulled back. I think that's a positive thing in the short run, or the long run, actually, both,
Yeah.
because we get to see how it actually works. And if people understood how everything worked, I think that there'd be a different viewpoint. It's not that we're held hostage, it's just the system itself. It's not that voting is bad or that it doesn't work or something. Like, I think we need paper ballots and all that stuff. Again, I don't like
Right.
electronic voting machines, but it's not unsalvageable. Um, it just has, you have to tell people how this works. And if they knew that, like, I have an idea, I've had this for years. Um, let's say you got a local congressional race or a local state legislator race. Don't back one candidate, back 100. Like, you just get a volunteer source together, and because it's your constitutional right to get on a ballot, just get on a ballot and make it to where no one knows what to do. And because I think the first 50 people in the phone book would be better than the first 50 people in a standard race.
Yeah, I like
Um,
this idea.
and my idea was, if they like democracy so much, make them choke on it. Like, and you could do that with very little money. You don't need the backing of billionaires. You just need a little bit of, like, social media organization and database work, which AI could help with. You basically just come in and say, here's a ballot. It usually has 4 people on it. So let's make it 40. And maybe if your name is similar to the candidate, even better. Let's say if it's
Yeah.
Tom Smith and you're Tom Smith Jr., or like Tommy Smith, maybe you run. Like, I just think whoever, just disrupt the system enough,
Muddy the waters. Hell yeah.
just muddy it, and then they have to figure out new ways, and then you stop them. Like, that's when you show, oh, you need to complete uh, election reform. So I don't know. There's like those are peaceful, disruptive ways, I think, that could actually make a difference. But you'd have to undo the mind control of, like, party affiliation. And I still see stuff on social media, and it makes me just, like, cringe, because it's so dumb. Like, like, liberals be liberal, and like,
Yeah, yeah. Or you
and
see
like,
these commercials for Republican, whatever, campaign commercials come up and have just like Ed Galrain or Galrain or however, nobody even knows how to say his name because they don't know shit about the guy. But all the commercials run for him were just Donald Trump says he is this. Donald Trump likes him because of this. I mean, like, Ed didn't say a single thing on any of his commercials. You know what I mean? It's like we realize at this point it's an endorsement game and it's a money game. And if you don't have the right people behind you and you don't have the right money behind you, you are toast. And that was the big reveal on the Massey thing, is that he kept even as he was going on podcasts leading up to the race. He said, I'm keeping it grassroots campaign. My average donors are this. His average donors are this. His biggest donors are these guys. My biggest donor is $1,000 from some random fucking farmer that's maybe a millionaire or something. But the point was like we saw behind that veil that, okay, and like I like your muddying the waters. I also like the just don't vote at all idea, or um what's the damn John Candy and Richard Pryor movie Brewster's Millions,
yep,
and he runs for whatever it
none of the
was,
above.
senator or something, or mayor. Yeah, vote none of the above, none of the above. And there's something, a nice peaceful protest in that. But man, as long as we have the campaign dollars and I mean the actual like the lobbying and stuff coming in instead of grassroots campaigns, no real person is ever going to win at this point. And I mean, I hate to say it like that, but I think it's true. Like, and I think it's so obvious that everybody sees that now.
Yeah, I think that you're right. That's the real issue, is that in the current system, the way that it works, it'd be really hard to have a disruptive candidate. And we thought that was, I mean, I haven't thought this for a very, very long time, but at the time I thought maybe Trump is the guy. Like, I think this could be, and he definitely played on, especially in 2016, the anti-establishment. I remember that 2-minute commercial he ran right before the election in 2016 that was brilliant. Like,
Yeah.
about trillions are on the line for the establishment, just showing, Janet Yellen and the head of the Federal Reserve and all these like politicians and power brokers, and saying like, they're globalists. They want to continue to benefit from the erosion of American sovereignty and power, and here's your way to fight back against that. And it was very distinctive. Um, that to me was a great play. And then of course he played us, but I mean that.
Yeah.
That was a way to win. I think that's still a winning strategy. The problem is like, who could do that? You would definitely need, like, whatever Tucker's doing. I think is important. I mean, I don't know what that will bring. Bill Cooper tried to do this, with Aaron Russo,
Hmm.
if you remember that, back in
Yep.
the mid 1990s.
Bill
And
Cooper, rest in peace, man. He was a badass.
yeah, I mean, I've studied his life for many years. Matter of fact, um, on the 20th anniversary of him being murdered by the police,
Yep.
on November 5th, 2021, I did a broadcast from his driveway at night, and I had Don Jeffries on with me. I did it on my show. I uplinked it to WWCR, which was Bill Cooper's home station.
Awesome,
And
dude.
yeah, I drove all the way out there with my friend, Mr. Anderson, and we did that broadcast. I'm really proud of that broadcast. We did. That was a good. That was a really good experience. But I learned a lot from Bill's life, and he was the genesis of the Constitution Party. That's
Hmm.
where him and Aaron Russo got together, and they had a falling out, and it just, I don't know if you know, like, Aaron Russo's story. He was a producer in Hollywood. He created Trading Places, one of the movie with Eddie Murphy,
Yeah, yeah,
which is kind of weird because I don't know if you know my friend Billy Ray Valentine
yeah.
does
Yep.
the Infinite French. Well, that's where he got his name, like his podcast name from that movie. And I was like, well, it's weird because I was searching for Bill Cooper episodes, and I found Billy Ray's show back in 2020 before I knew him. And I'm like, and is it weird that I was looking for Bill Cooper episodes and you took the name Billy Ray Valentine, and Bill Cooper was friends with Aaron Russo? I don't know how this works, but it's something weird in the
Yeah, yeah.
universe.
That was Eddie Murphy's name, right?
That was Eddie Murphy's
Yeah.
name in the movie, like Billy Ray Valentine, Capricorn.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
but I don't, I think we're just at a point now where if you add in like another ingredient to this, would be economic strife. If there's economic strife and pressure, then a lot of the political stranglehold that we have in the paradigm, I think, will crumble.
Hmm.
So that would leave an opportunity for new avenues.
A new America first, even like Clint Russell calls it, America first and fucking only, and it's like,
Right.
exactly, like we need to, it sounds simplistic, but it is simplistic. We need to kind of, well, what isolationist? What are you, some pacifist? No, fuck everybody for a little bit. We need to focus on, we can't have our house on fire worried about, did you know the neighbor's wife is cheating on him? Who gives a fuck about that? Our house is on fire right now. Like, we need to concentrate on what is right here. And I think that is the easiest and simplest response, honestly. But if we just started, cutting off, like, I get my boomer friends anytime I criticize something about Israel. Well, what about all the other countries we give money to? Well, I'm glad you asked that. How about fuck them too? Like, let's get rid of all of the foreign aid. And it sounds easier than said than done, but I'm just getting at, like, at the cost of what we do for other countries, and then even what, like, the Doge cuts were supposed to be and everything, and the stuff we were figuring out with was the USAID and all that crap. We're realizing, like, wait, we're paying for what in Nairobi? We're paying for what in Zimbabwe? We're paying for fucking transgender studies here and this and that. And you're kind of like, where is our money going? Because meanwhile, I'm going to the grocery store, and a pound of hamburger is this when it used to be this, and a dozen eggs is 3 times as what it used. We are hurting here, and we're worried about everybody else that's hurting. Just like I said, bluntly speaking, fuck everybody else for 5 years. Cut everything off to the rest of the world for 5 years and put that infrastructure back into America. We might do some do some change, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
Well, that would be the only way you help the world. The only way that you really help the world in general is to have the strongest, freest, most prosperous United States that it can possibly be. Show that our systems work. Show that our economy works. Show that our political process works. Show that that we do our best in this realm to live up to our ideals. If we will do that as an example, it's like John Quincy Adams said. America was not designed to go abroad in search of monsters to destroy. We're a
Mm-hmm.
well wisher and an example. Thomas Jefferson, peace, commerce, honest friendship. George Washington, no entangling alliances. If we would live up to our ideals, we don't have to do the hard power intervention. And by the way, that doesn't work anyway. I mean, that creates blowback. It creates all sorts of unintended consequences. So my idea would just be now that we live in an age of nuclear weapons. We live in an
Yeah.
age where of mutually assured destruction. I mean, that should be your foreign policy. Is like basically we guard our shores, we guard our borders, we have a robust defense. Um, I don't like that we went from the Department of Defense back to the Department of War. That was Truman's decision after he dropped the bomb because it becomes so unthinkable to go to war. Obviously, that was an intent on his behalf. He even changed the seal of the presidency to where the eagle faced towards the olive branch and not the arrows.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you're
Like
talking about.
he made a lot of those changes because regardless of what you think of Harry Truman, like he had a conscience, and I've read extensive biographies on him, and I think he realized you sow the whirlwind by dropping the bomb. Matter of fact, tomorrow is the anniversary of the second atomic bomb, so it's August 6th and August 9th
Yeah.
that
You're
we
right.
dropped bombs on Hiroshima and
I got three kids.
Nagasaki.
I forget what day it is, but yeah, it's
No,
right.
I understand. I live in a world of like dates and things. That's what my mind works like historically. I just wake up and I'm thinking, what day is it? Like, what is in reference to what?
I like
But
that.
yeah, we don't have to do foreign aid. I think is unconstitutional. Um, I like the idea of soft power. I like the idea of the Peace Corps. Things that JFK, he obviously paid for that one. Like that was his idea of having representation around the world from Americans, helping people set up, clean drinking water and how to do farming and like commerce and stuff like that. That to me, I think is America living up to its best ideals. Like you're not like what we've done in Ukraine. Hell, I mean, what we're doing right now with. Operation Epstein Fury, which is so damn sad. Like I don't know.
Oh, the
I,
last time we talked, okay, it's just crazy. There's always something that comes up or something because last time we talked was March 1st, okay, and that was we woke up that morning planning to have an episode, and then holy shit, at that point it wasn't U.S. confirming. It was they're saying Iran struck the girls' school. Remember that? That was the first narrative, and then they're like, okay, maybe it was Israel. Well, maybe it was our Tomahawk missiles. Maybe it was, and then it just turned out it's like, yeah, yeah, we bombed, almost 200 kids. What are you gonna fucking do about it? But yeah, Operation Epstein Fury came in full effect. But now here we are, almost 6 months later, and we're looking at okay, so Ukraine is still at war with Russia, Russia with Ukraine, but also Russia is kind of somewhat always on the side of Iran a little bit. And if this Iran shit escalates more, then well, now we're finding out that we're using like the this whole it's almost like a giant conspiracy setup where Ukraine was this launch pad to put all the weapons into the regions so that way we could almost like fraud basically for the Ukraine war so that way we could use this for this Iran war that's happening now. But we've got all these fucking countries roped into this at this point. We got Lebanon in there. Now they're still talking about Turkey and other shit and you're like what is going on? Like we are in this greater Israel project. Most people don't even realize they're in a world war until the war has started. It's kind of like a genocide or, an extermination. But I'm just saying, like, you don't realize you're in a genocide until it becomes an extermination sometimes. Just like we don't realize we're in World War III right now, practically.
Oh, I agree. If you if you look at the way that all the coalitions are aligning, like the different factions for self-interest, like Russia with Iran and China with Iran, Ukraine striking Iranian targets,
Yep.
things like that. Like it is, war has an organic phenomenon of it creates a life of its own. It's like
Mm-hmm.
fire, and it breathes and it consumes, and it gets away from you, and you think you can have a controlled burn, but that's not. If you play with it too much, then you got a wildfire. Then you got something that starts eating everything, and that's what I've been warning about for years. I'm like, either they want, obviously the power structure. There's a great many people that want this. If you look at, like, would you trust people who, especially the money faction, who primarily want less human beings, like they're depopulation enthusiasts? Why would you trust them to fund things? Like they fund
Yeah.
candidates, they fund causes, and so that's kind of a fruit of a poisonous tree. Like they're creating a reality based off of their intent, which is less people.
Yeah.
Um,
And they
which
get
is
sacrificial, stuff with
just
war.
demonic, like
Yep.
and I think our foreign policy has a lot of markers of ritualistic sacrifice of people with good spirits on both sides, like, especially civilians. I've seen that firsthand in my combat experience, where I just, like, you talk about smart weapons, like what the hell does that even mean? Like you're hitting civilian targets and schools and houses and all sorts of shit. And I was just like, this doesn't make me safer. That's one of the first things I took away from my combat experience. I mean, this doesn't make my hometown safer.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't make my world better off. Like, there's something inherently evil about this. This isn't me defending my home. If I'm going to defend my home, then maybe we are at war with the people that are subverting our liberties, and not not somebody in a cave in Afghanistan, right?
There's an irony in there. They're going to train you to be this awesome badass, but then they're going to, it's almost like, what am I trying to say? Like they're trying to disassociate your brain from the reality. They're going to take you over to this foreign place after they train you these things. And I'm not shitting on the military. Almost all of my family is all military. I had plans on going to the military all through middle school and high school, but then I just started smoking weed, playing music, grow my hair long, and whatever. I mean, in a way, I'm glad it went that direction. But my point is they train you to be these ultimate badasses, and then take you somewhere 3,000 miles away instead, while you have these realizations after the fact of like, maybe I was fighting the wrong people. You kind of see what I mean?
Right. And you find that out, even in real time. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. Like, and I know that it's not all people in the military, but you do, and especially the percentages go up even further down the line when you get home, and then you start realizing, like, this was not the enemy.
Yeah.
Especially when you're concerned about, like, standard of living and your own safety and your family's safety and other things. Like, what was that for? And then you start looking at the power structure going, oh, okay, well, I see you're self-serving. Or it's like Smedley Butler, who wrote War as a Racket,
Mm-hmm.
most highly decorated Marine up until the 1950s. um, he he just basically said, I didn't fight to preserve democracy. I fought to preserve the United Fruit Company.
Yeah.
When he was going out through South America, and
Wow.
so he had that realization later in life, and then just became completely anti-war. Another person doesn't get enough credit for being anti-war. Like, I saw Trump the other day, like, put out a meme of him and Patton and MacArthur,
Yeah.
and I thought,
Netanyahu actually said, was it? No, it was the clip of Lindsey Graham. I mean, I'm not talking about what you're talking about, but Lindsey Graham, there was some documentary that's being filmed
I
that's going to
saw
come out
that.
posthumously or whatever, and he's talking about how Netanyahu and Trump are like Churchill and fucking FDR or some shit. But go ahead, just
Well,
more ridiculousness.
well, if you look at the life of MacArthur, who was basically a god of war, I mean, he was probably the most talented military leader since Alexander the Great. If you look into his life, William Manchester wrote a great biography of MacArthur called American Caesar. I highly recommend it.
Mm,
I read it while I was in Iraq, and at the end of his life, MacArthur wanted to abolish all war. Like he wanted it written into the constitution of other nations, and then he begged Lyndon Johnson to stay out of on his deathbed. He's like, I stay out of Vietnam. He's like, the jungles will swallow our boys up. Like you can't win a land war in Asia like that. It's not doable.
and they
And
did.
there's no right. But he was the most. He doesn't get credit for at the end of his life after he had been his entire life was devoted to winning war and to being a victor, like despite everything. And that was his final contribution, was saying we can't even do this anymore. Like humanity won't survive if we continue to do this, because it's like Einstein, they asked him like what weapons will be used in World War III. He's like, I don't know, but if that happens, then World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones.
That's genius. That's a great quote, dude. And then another great philosopher of our modern time, Kurt Metzger, bring him up again. He was on somebody. It was his show with Duncan Trussell the other day, and they had a guest on, and they were talking about like World War III and stuff like that, and like, well, what about all the robots and AI stuff? Maybe World War III will be fought with robots instead. And then Kurt brought up the great point of, no, it won't. It's always going to be fought with humans because you have to have that sacrifice, that blood sacrifice of those people. It's not always about the dudes who are out there fighting for your freedoms. They're fighting because you were sent out to kind of basically be, I hate to say it, like into a meat grinder, because there's something bigger than just this excursion or this war going on. There's some blood sacrifice going along with it. And I think it's crazy to think about, because you see all the drone attacks, you see all the things like that, but there's always gonna be humans. Why the hell would you know what I'm saying? Like, why would you go have a war with just robots? Nobody wants to do that. If you're going to be a dictator, you want to kill people. It's
But yeah,
like,
robots will be a part of it, but people will always die. Like
exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean.
that will be, they need it. Like, and it's one of the things that always stuck out with me in my reading of history that I think cannot be an accident. But you look at George H.W. Bush, who was, ambassador to China, head of the CIA, then vice president under Reagan.
Yep. Read my
And
lips.
yeah, read my lips. And he called Reagan's economic plan voodoo economics.
This aggression
Um,
will not stand.
right.
Fucking Big Lebowski reference.
Well, it's funny because in the movie The Big Lebowski, if you remember when he goes and he buys that at the beginning of the movie, when he buys that little thing of milk, when he's
Yep.
going to make his White Russians or something, and he writes the check, and it's September 11th. Have you ever noticed that the
What?
check
No
is
fucking
September 11th?
way, dude.
Yeah, the
Okay, that's
check.
one of my favorite movies of all time, because every time you rewatch it, you catch a little thing like that. So now
I
you just
caught
gave me
that.
another
I
reason to
caught that
rewatch it.
years ago, and the reason I caught that, and it couldn't. By the way, you can go look this up, and maybe my memory's not serving, but I'm pretty damn sure that when he signs that check, it says September 11th. And the reason it does is, and the reason that Bush is in the background is that's when he goes before Congress. So it's September 11th, 1990, exactly 11 years to the
Yes.
day, to the to almost to the minute when his son would be and taking and informing the world about our response after September 11th, 2001. On September 11th, 1990, George H.W. Bush goes before a full House, full joint session of Congress, and calls for a new world order three times.
Yeah. New World Order. Yep.
Yeah, so I don't think that things like that, like what are the mathematical chances? Like if anybody would reverse engineer that and say, okay, 11 years to the day, to the minute, your son will be president And in direct response to everything that you're doing now will be another pivotal role in American history, the New World Order being fulfilled. Like that to me is ritualistic.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about this. As we're bringing it all to a close, it's like it's all ritualistic. And then you look into, Nancy Reagan, she was super big into astrology and stuff. And there's some people that find truth and whatever weirdness. Whatever. Fuck, I don't know about that. I think space is pretty fake and gay in the first place. So I'm not really trust astrology anyways. But I'm getting at like, you started seeing this weird change of spirituality and these things coming into these people, these elected officials, these world leaders and stuff. And they would make references in Hillary Clinton with the fucking, what was it, the resurrection chamber and fucking Nebuchadnezzar or whoever it was. It's like, why are they bringing these things up? Why is Hitler talking about all these occult things and finding, Indiana Jones kind of stuff all over the world? It's because there's something bigger at play that we, us goyim, us peasants, our peon selves, like, we're not in tune to it. It's the George Carlin. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You ain't in the big club, and we're not. But that's why we're out here just using honesty and just trying to ask these questions and go, hey guys, I don't have the answers to shit. I just got 50 more questions every time I question one thing. You get 50 more questions. But then you got the others out here that still trust the science. They're still defending Fauci or still defending Trump, still defending Hillary and whatever. Like, man, that's why I say I get blackpilled sometimes because you're like, we can throw all this evidence in front of people and they just don't want to fucking see it. So, Tony, if you want to send us out on a white pill moment, I would love it.
Well, I think the most positive aspects of the timeline that we're on is that uh, so much has been revealed, and we're not at the level of understanding absolute truth yet, but we're getting there. I think the better and closer that you come to what reality actually is, the better decisions you can make. And we have to remember too that because of the high strangeness and things that we notice that are, I don't know if you can explain it. You can call it predictive programming or revelation of the method, but I think it's bigger than that. I think
Yeah.
these little Easter eggs that we find in movies and songs and references and things in books prior to events or explaining things before they happen. I think that's just part of the divinity of God's creation. I think that we live in a system that's it's coded into it to tell us the future, to explain the past if we'll only listen. And I think that's what makes it a special existence. I don't bite down on the black pill and just say it's all for naught. I think that's nihilism. I think that's dangerous. I mean, even in The Big Lebowski, he's like, "Oh, fucking nihilist," when
Yeah.
he's just there. That nihilism is very dangerous. And if you listen to a lot of, and I've been in alt media for years and years, and I do a lot more, mainstream stuff now with talking about gold and silver and Bitcoin and other things,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of the audience is just they're black pilled, man. It's like this guy's an op and everybody's a shill, and I'm like, well, then why'd you even get out of bed? Like why are you
Yeah.
commenting? Like why take the time to type into a keyboard your displeasure if nothing matters? And I think that it does matter, and I think that if everybody tomorrow went out and just did something nice for someone else that didn't require you to post about it, or like if you just did that every day, it compounds. Like you can change people's entire perspective by your character. And look, I'm guilty of not always doing it. I try though. Like when I wake up, I want to see if I can do good or have that sort of like calm, regulated nervous system that says I'm okay with who I am and I want to help or do something that benefits humanity. If everybody did that, or even a small minority started to do that, I think we'd have a completely different reality. So it's not too late, and it's not all doom and gloom. It's a lot of challenges, but I want to see what happens next.
I like that. I
So,
want to embrace the gray pill,
there you go.
recognize that the black pill exists, but it's also cyanide, so maybe not chomp on that pill. but also
Agreed.
don't live in the world of chomping on the white pill, which might be just full of fucking red dye, this or sugar and everything, whatever else. It's just as toxic too. It's, living in naivety or whatever. But
I'm gonna get away from the pills. I think we should go to the patch. Just,
exactly, right, right. Fuck it, go back to Marlboro Reds. No, I'm kidding. Guys, Stitt-Heads, thank you for tuning into another episode. Tony, you're always awesome, man. I love your show. I love what you do for, the gold and silver community. What you help out Tripoli, you help out a lot of people, and it's really fucking awesome, man. And you've got a cool story. Every time I talk to you, I find out something new about you. And yeah, dude, just remind everyone they can show you or find you again, and I'll have your links in the show notes.
Easiest way to find, just type in on the URL tony.gold. It'll take you to my website and has all the links there to my companies and then my shows and relevant information. So tony.gold, if you want to find me, it's the easiest way to get there.
Love it, man. Well, hey, Stitt-Heads, how about we start embracing a little bit of the gray pill? We recognize the black is out there, and don't take that as a racist joke unless you want to. Whatever, I don't care. But recognize that it's out there, and recognize the whites out there, and you can choose between the two, or that's no different than the reds or the blues. You're picking one hard side or the other hard side. Recognize the reality of both sides, and then make your decision in the middle somewhere. So I'll leave you guys with that. Peace out. See you next time. Bye bye bye, bitches. And